Okay, councillors, audience, we've run 4:30, so we'll kick our meeting off. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we meet on today, the Wiradjuri people, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Bit of housekeeping: if we're asked to evacuate, we exit via the double doors to the chamber, then take a right to the doors out onto the footpath and await further instructions. The next item is in regard to live streaming. This meeting is being streamed live and recorded and made publicly available on Council's website. Persons attending or speaking in public forum should refrain from making defamatory statements. Next item on the agenda is public forum, and we have no speakers in public forum today. Move along to the next item, which is the statement of ethical obligations, which I've taken as read by everyone. The next item on the agenda is attendance and apologies, Mr. General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have a request from Councillor Flannery to attend by digital means. Due to commitments, we have an apology from Councillor Gallo, and we have a request for leave of absence from Councillor Stadmiller due to illness. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Have someone moved that those three matters be accepted? Councillor Dodd, thank you. Seconded. Councillor Mackie, thank you. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. So the next item on the agenda is the expressions of sympathy. So I ask everyone to be upstanding, please, and have a moment of silence for the following: Jeffrey Close, Janice Hayman, Mary Marion, Patrick Burke, Francis Shea, Robin Logan, Norma Bentley, Peter Langer, Terence Rogers, Dr. Michael Maleni, Cecily Jerram, Robert Fitzgerald, Clive Richards, Eric Hodson, Susan Arabin, Kathleen Morby, Lila Goodluck, Peter Quinn, Jeffrey Jenner, Jill Robinson Peerless, Margaret Wall, Anthony Fisher, and Edward Parkinson. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the confirmation of minutes from our ordinary council meeting in July. Remover, Councillor Blackwell, seconded. Councillor Douglas, thank you. All those in favour of that being a correct recording? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. The next item on the agenda is, that's my page, disclosures of interest. Do we have any disclosures of interest to put before tonight's meeting? Councillor Douglas.
I have a non-pecuniary interest in item 15.5. I will not vote, but I will stay in the room and not participate in any debate.
Thank you, councillor. Any further disclosures? No, thank you. Mayoral minute. We have no mayoral minutes tonight. The next item, 9.1, is the mayoral report for July-August. My diary's there. Happy to move it. Someone to second. To be accepted. Councillor Blackwell. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Next item is the councillor reports. They're there, councillors, to receive and note the councillor's report. I've got a mover. Councillor Langford, seconded Councillor Dodd. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We move along to 11.1, Community Recognition Scheme, and tonight we have a couple of very worthy recognitions to be done. So we'll now hand over to Councillor Foreman, please.
Thank you. Firstly, in recognition of the late Dr. Michael Mullaney, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the family of the late Dr. Michael Mullaney and acknowledge the contribution he made to our community. Dr. Mullaney's age at passing was 97. A proud Irishman and highly respected country GP, Michael's career spanned decades and was defined by skill, compassion and a deep devotion to his patients. Beyond his devotion, he was dedicated to the young community. He and his late wife Bernadette boarded a ship in 1956 and, persuaded by Dr. Charles Rowe, moved to Young and joined his medical practice. Whilst raising 11 children, Dr. Mullaney became an integral part of Young's medical community, working alongside many of our region's finest doctors. Beyond delivering thousands of babies, he championed care for the elderly and worked closely with the Sisters of Mercy to establish the Young Retirement Village and transform Mercy Hospital into a respite and palliative care unit. He also played a key role in founding Lambing Flat Enterprises for people with disabilities. His dedication saw him recognised in 2008, where he was named GP of the Year and was awarded the Order of Australia Medal for his services to health. Michael also served his community as a local councillor in the 1960s and 1990s. And through all this, Michael still found time to farm Ballinaklash, a living heritage that lives on in his children. Over the years, the family would expand to include 27 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. This is a small extract of the man who will be remembered for his tireless work ethic, quick wit and his dedication to our community and his family. To the late Dr. Michael Mullaney and his family, we sincerely say thank you.
Thank you, councillor, and I'm happy to second that. All those in favour?
And I do have another one if that's okay.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. The next one I would ask is from Councillor Douglas. The floor is yours, please.
So I just wanted to recognise Carinu Court in Burrawa. They are an affordable housing for aged and disadvantaged residents within Burrawa. The committee has tirelessly worked, and also the generosity of Bendigo Bank, that they're now starting the construction of 2 new 2-bedroom units. This is an amazing achievement for the rural community, and I think the recognition is well deserved.
Thank you, councillor, and I'm happy to second that as also. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. I'll go back to Councillor Foreman.
Thank
The floor is
you.
yours.
I also have another nomination, and that is to the Rapid Relief Team. Now, this team is driven by a group of 118 people in Young, with 50 being active local volunteers. Over the 2024 to 2025 period, the RRT have supplied more than 1,400 meals and supported dozens of organisations across the Hilltops. From the recent homelessness barbecue to the upcoming CEO sleep out, no matter what time of day or night, this team is there providing free support. This year alone, RRT has provided 110 meals to the Ride to Give event for Boys to the Bush, 250 meals to the Young Crisis Accommodation Centre for Homelessness Week, 910 muesli bars to Young Public School, Burrawa Central, Young North and Murrumbara High via the Smart Cookie Initiative. This initiative helps ensure that hunger isn't a barrier to education. They also supply frontline workers with a frontline snack pack. This pack brings relief and comfort to emergency services as they respond to high pressure situations. I would like to sincerely thank and recognise the Rapid Relief Team for their outstanding contribution to the well-being of the Hilltops community, for their compassion, dedication and their tireless support of those in need. And I've listed some other things they've done, but I won't read them out, but thank you.
Thank you very much, councillor, and I'm happy to also to second that. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillor. Any other councillors have any other? No, well, I have, well, I think it comes under this umbrella, and it was just mentioned actually by Councillor Foreman in regard to St Vinny's and the sleep out. coming up. Been raising funds. Everyone has been doing a great job, and you talk about community and great communities. We have a great community, and the support's been really, really good. But if anyone's out there watching or anyone sitting around and has got a couple of dollars lying spare, and I know it's hard on everyone at the current time, but any small amount will be accepted and happily accepted by any of the people volunteering to sleep out. And in that regard, I'd give a shout out to Endeavour Hire, who have been hard at raising funds and donating funds from their business to go towards this great cause. So anyone on social media, it's there, it's on the site. And after it, there'll be a brand new sleeping bag free for the taking. It'll only have been slept in once, and that'll be by me tomorrow night. It's been 40 years since I camped out, and it'll be 40 before I do it again. So I just want to a bit of a shout out to our community because they're always giving, so thank you. Okay, on that note, I'll move on to the serious stuff with the General Manager's report. So, General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the executive meetings attended is there for your information, councillors.
Thank you. Good mover for that, Councillor Blackwell. Seconder, Councillor Douglas, and thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Now, councillors, we come to item 12.2, which is the start of the draft policies that we're not adopting, but we're putting out on public exhibition. And as I mentioned at the briefing, I would be asking if we could put these under the regulations of moving them all together. But if someone had a question or query on any one particular one, to let me know, and we'll pull that out of that. And I have had one request to pull one of those items out, and it will be pulled out and addressed separately. But if anyone else has got anything they haven't, then I'll put the council that we move items 12.2 to 12.18 with the exception of 12.17 in one voting lot. I have a seconder for that. Seconded, Councillor Blackwell. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. So now on that note, I will move all draft policies from item 12.2 to 12.18 with the exception of 12.17 to council. I'm happy to move that. And Councillor Dodds seconded it. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Now, councillors, item 12.17 on page 288, it is for me. Is a draft roadside vegetation management policy. So I have a mover to start with, Councillor Blackwell, seconder, Councillor Foreman, thank you. And the recommendation is there as the others: approve the review draft rural roadside vegetation management policy for public exhibition and submissions for 28 days. And if no submissions are received, delegate the General Manager to adopt the policy, the said policy. Have any comments or commentary, Councillor Blackwell?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of questions for the director. This is kind of, I mean, these are a fair few changes in here to the policy and how it looks and how it's kind of going to be operated. Can you just kind of walk us through it first? A kind of overview is, have these come entirely from the state government, or have we kind of pursued some of these changes from our own experience in this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Councillor, for your question. The policy is largely driven by state government legislation. However, it does refer to areas of medium or high conservation value that is as defined under the state legislation. However, we've had consultants do some work to identify those areas across the local government areas, so we have that mapped. We know where that vegetation is, and that's part of the process of assessing any proposed work to remove vegetation in the road corridor.
Thanks. Just one other question. This council before has had a motion to the Local Government Association about the collection of firewood from the roadside. Obviously, that's still not allowed. But do we have any updates from Sydney or from the regulator as to their thoughts on that? I know the council has supported that in the past, but it's not currently allowed. So is there any updates on that external to us?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I haven't had any updates from that process. I understand it was taken to Local Government New South Wales through the conference. However, no changes have come out of that process.
Yeah, thank you. And last question I have, just to kind of, I think one people have called me about is just kind of, how does this change much in the day-to-day for people who are using the roadside corridor, or is it kind of still very much similar kind of day-to-day operational for them?
The draft policy is in practice very much the same as the previous policy. It is as outlined, simply an update to make to the language used and the statutory references to make sure that it's consistent with current legislation. But in practice, it doesn't really change how we manage the roadside.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Flannery.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Look, there's a couple of typos that I think I have correct, given the number of changes on page 295 of the printed, which I think page 6 of the policy. The bottom line under 5, it should say planting exotic. Well, it says planting exotic trees with road reserve, rural road reserve. I think that should be within. Is prohibited. So that's just a typo. And then on page 9 of the policy, which is 298, it refers to section 4, which I think should now be section 5, and then it refers to section 6, section 5, which should now be section 6. Just before they go out, or if a director would like to confirm. Also, thank you to Councillor Blackwell for noting those issues regarding firewood. However, with your concurrence, Mr. Mayor, my reading of the policy provides some, I guess, jurisdiction for council to allow roadside collection of firewood, because it does note that it's prohibited in high conservation areas. And I think subject to mapping, we need to determine what high conservation areas might be. It also notes that council has the ability to, under activities that do not require approval, hyphen exemptions, and HIJ it is, an approved bushfire hazard reduction activity under section 63, section 100C of the Rural Fire Act. So given there's always a conflict between these government policies, and in fact it was noted by the Housing Minister, just to digress a bit, that the biggest issue in trying to build new houses is invariably environmental regulations. I would have thought there is some degree of flexibility for council to allow for bushfire collection, where the issue of leaving fallen timber by the roadside might actually increase bushfire hazards. So just to note that one.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery, for that. The input by both councillors. On that note, I'll put the matter. All those in favour? Unanimous. Councillors. Takes us to item 12.19, which is the financial improvement strategy and the progress update. And the recommendation is receive the information and endorse the updated financial improvement strategy program plan, phase 2 of which is in attachment 1. Mover and a seconder. Moved Councillor Douglas, seconded Councillor Langford. Any questions in regard to that report, councillors, or progress where it's up to? Yeah, look, I know since we've had some changes and things are looking a bit brighter, although we have to wait a bit longer, another month till we get our end of June results. But the last item on page 320 is something I've spoke about for a long time, and internal efficiencies. Progressive assessment reporting as service reviews are completed, and that's yet to begin. So I'll be just keeping a pretty close eye on that line and item in that report to see if we can make some progress on some of those internal efficiencies. Any other commentary in regard to that report? I'll put that then. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Item 12.20 is the Bengo Wind Farm Community Enhancement Fund. The reports and the recommendation is that council receive and note the report and endorse the recommendation of the Bengo Wind Farm Community Enhancement Fund Committee for the distribution of funds for the 25-26 period under voluntary planning agreement. Moved Councillor Blackwell, seconded Councillor Davis. Thank you. Any questions in relation? Councillor Flannery. Oh, Councillor Flannery, you got a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
question, yeah.
Look, I just want to confirm with council staff, when I asked about the Rye Park funding, there was an amount going to the Boorowa Touch Netball Carnival, and I have been contacted by a number of Boorowa residents concerned, or just asking, I guess, the question regarding funding. I note there's 2,500 allocated. I also note that I think Councillor Blackwell is on both committees, which I think has its own issues, but we'll leave that be for the time being. Are staff satisfied that there is sufficient funding to cover the traffic management from both wind farm community funds?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Flannery, I believe so, but I'm happy to reach out to the Touch Football Netball Carnival Committee and make sure that that's the case.
So should we defer this to the next meeting until we're satisfied?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe that would change the recommendation of the committee.
Okay. That was moved by Councillor Blackwell. Would you like to speak to the...
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Blackwell?
Firstly, I just want to thank the community members and the wind farm representative and the council staff involved in the committee. It was definitely a long day, but a productive one. So I just want to thank them for their hard work in putting in the time, especially with quite a lot of applications. To Councillor Flannery's point about the touch football netball, they've asked for different amounts of money for different purposes. They were in the $2,500 completes their request for 2025. They did ask for extra money for 2026, but we didn't quite have that amount to give them. So for 2025, to my knowledge, they are fully funded for everything they've requested out of the wind farm funds.
Thank you for that, Councillor. And the General Manager can confirm that when I read this report, I made a phone call to him with the same question as touched on by Councillor Flannery. And haven't spoke to Councillor Flannery about it, but my concern was that $2,500, hopefully they'd had enough money from somewhere else and wouldn't be required to go looking for more funds. When I looked at, the rugby club got money, the Quickshare got $5,000 and none of that money, well, I strongly think that none of that money will remain in the community. It will go out. But yet, one of the biggest events that I've been told that's ever held in Boorowa and is crucial to the functioning of the schools, only got $2,500. So I had some concerns about that, but if that's the report from the committee and Councillor Blackwell's on that committee and that's how they want to allocate it, I'm happy to go with that. So any other commentary in regard to that item?
Just one other
Flannery.
question, Mr. Mayor. Fridge freezer, $4,500. It must be a bloody big fridge freezer, is it? Or is it for the canteen? Where's that for?
I can take that, Councillor Flannery. It's for the canteen. Yes.
Thank you. On that note, I'll put the item. All those in favour of accepting that report, you raise your hands. Those against? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 1221, cash investment and unrestricted cash report. The report said councillors and the recommendation is received the statement of cash and investments as of 31 July 2025. Remover. I'm happy to move it. Seconded, Councillor Douglas. Thank you. Any questions around the room in regard to that report, councillors? No, the only comment I would make, and I think I made it once before, is dealing with the St. George Bank. I know we have to spread things around, but when you look at the difference in interest rates and the substantial amount of money that's in that account, yeah, I'd probably like to think we could. It doesn't help the average overall, let's just put it that way. I understand staff do a great job moving that money around and trying to keep it to the best returns we can get, but it sort of just stands out a bit, that one with St George Bennett. There's no other questions. I'll put that to the council. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Outstanding rates and charges and sundry debtors report. Recommendation is to receive and note the report. Mover, please. Councillor Blackwell, second to Councillor Davis. Going well. Any questions in regard to this report?
I just have one.
Councillor Douglas, floor is yours.
I noticed from the last report in July to this report that our rates and outstanding charges have doubled on some of them, mainly from like year 1 up to year 5. The outstanding amounts have doubled. Do we have a reason for that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the actual percentage is based on what's outstanding at the point of, at the time of the report. However, as the debts become older, they obviously flow through. I can't explain why, just that people haven't paid their debt. However, I can say that at the moment, council currently has 218 active legal matters with outstanding collections who are our collection agency. That's made up of 96 rates only accounts, 1 water only account, 101 combined water accounts and 20 sundry debtors accounts. Council has been, we've tried to be proactive and do the best we can to collect. So unfortunately, I can't answer why, but we are doing our best to try and recover.
Thank you for that response. And it's hard yards. It is wearing that overdue debts down, but progress is being made. And you said there's obviously a reason somewhere where that number doubled up by so much, but we'll keep working at it. Any other questions in regard to that report? I'll put the report. All those in favour? Unanimous. Item 1223 is the development application stats for July 2025, and the recommendation is the council receive and note the report for development applications and complying development certificates as at 31 July 2025. Councillor Blackwell's happy to move it. Councillor Davis happy to second it. Thank you. Any questions in regard to this report? I'll put the report. All those in favour? Unanimous, councillors. I was going to make a comment, so move on. It was just to congratulate staff on the work and the time frame. 1224. Establishment. I didn't jump one, no. 1224. Establishment of local transport forum. Councillors, if you've read this report, there's been a change in how things will be dealt with. The report's there, and the recommendation is to receive and note the report, abolish the local traffic advisory committee, establish the local transport forum as required under the authorisation and delegation instrument dated 21 July 2025, and appoint a councillor as council representative on the local transport forum, and appoint an alternate councillor if they are unable to attend the meeting or the forum. I'm happy to move that item and nominate myself as a councillor to go on that forum. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Langford. Any other nominations to go on that forum?
Yes, I would like to continue on there, please.
Councillor Dodd. Any other nominations? Okay. We're going to vote for those for Councillor Ingram to be on the local transport forum. Please raise your hands. For Councillor Dodd.
Are we just choosing one?
No, we're doing appoint a councillor, and then we need to appoint an alternate. Again, Councillor Ingram. How many hands we got up there? Thank you. Councillor Dodd. Councillor Ingram will be the representative on the local transport forum. meeting. Would anyone like to be the alternate?
I would like to be an alternative.
I can see that, yep. Sorry, councillor,
She's done a great job so far on that committee.
no one said anything to the contrary.
Saying she does a great
No one
job.
said anything to the contrary. Those support Councillor Dodd to be the alternate, please raise your hand. Congratulations, councillor, you're the alternate. So having said that, before I move this to a vote, I've got some commentary around it. And I'm not the only councillor who got the phone calls. Am I, Councillor Mackie? When we traced it back, and we're talking about the speed reduction on the road over at Burrawa, traced it back to a meeting in March, a traffic committee meeting in March, 18 months ago. I'm as guilty as anyone else. Sometimes you brush over those minutes of that committee. But having said that, the minutes of that meeting that came to council to say okay to and acknowledge had a section of road to have the speed reduced and to go to Transport for New South Wales, which was fair enough. There's a section of it not too good. There's a section that a lot of money has been spent on. So what happened next? Transport for New South Wales take over. Transport for New South Wales told no one. Transport for New South Wales came out at the last moment and said, we're going to reduce the whole length of that road to 80 kilometres. No consultation with the local community, no report back to council, no nothing. So when I started to receive the phone calls, I kept, please call Transport for New South Wales. Then I got my laptop out and went back, and I found that it did come to us, said in March 2024, with a section of it, not the complete road. And most of the phone calls I received were on the same point about why would the government spend the amount of money they spent on some of the corners and the roads and the sides and the guards to only come along then and reduce the speed limit. It just doesn't make sense. And I said, that is Transport for New South Wales you need to deal with, not us. I asked the General Manager to follow that up, and he did. And he sent the correspondence out to everyone. So for those people who live out in that area and are affected by this and were basically blindsided by it, to a point, so was council. As it happens, that committee's defunct. Things aren't going to happen that way anymore because it came back. The last line was, council were asked to seek Transport for New South Wales to do a review. That's now changed. Hilltops Council won't be asking Transport for New South Wales. Transport for New South Wales can put their hand up and tell the communities that it affects what's going to happen without pushing the shadow back over on Hilltops Council. So I said to those people affected by it, that's how it came about, and there's very little we can do about it. On that note, I'll put that item. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor Dodd.
I would just like to speak. I'd just like to note that anybody can request a speed review. Anybody can log on to Transport for New South Wales and ask for a speed review. But once it is in the hands of Transport for New South Wales, they can do as much or as little of that road. And unfortunately, once they've decided, that's it, because they are the authority on speed limits in New South Wales.
I completely agree, Councillor Dodd. My point will be, it won't come from Hilltops Council again. It can come as an individual person, by sure. But while I'm sitting here, it won't be coming from Hilltops Council asking Transport for New South Wales to do what they should be doing and informing the community. We can cause enough havoc for ourselves without helping Transport for New South Wales do it. On that matter,
could I just ask
Councillor
a question? I apologise for
Sorry.
that. But so the work that has been done on the old committee, will the things that are in process remain in process? Like the things that we discussed regarding roundabouts and all of those things, they stay
Yes.
on the table?
Yes.
Yes.
you're welcome. Before I do put, anyone else got any comments?
Just one very quickly, and we would have no idea, but it makes me wonder how it goes from a request to look at a section of road that was obviously dangerous, and it is, there's no doubt, to the whole length of the road where,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that was one of the questions that I did ask Transport for New South Wales. And yep, fully acknowledged the section came from the local traffic committee. They take a route-based approach, is the explanation. They take a route-based approach, so they can extend it as articulated, as long as or as short as required, but they take a route-based approach. That is why their review extended. As simple as that.
And to finish it off, I have requested through the General Manager a face-to-face meeting with Transport for New South Wales over this and other matters. Any other further comments? Sure.
Yeah,
Councillor
look,
Flannery.
I was going to, look, I thought you covered it pretty well, Mr. Mayor, but following the General Manager's comments, I totally reject those statements. Not that the General Manager, not that they're his words, but if they take a route-based approach, why haven't they dealt with William Bradford Bridge? I mean, it's an utter load of claptrap.
Thank you,
It's
Councillor.
claptrap.
Thank you. Any other commentary before I put it? I'm going to put it. All those in favour? Against? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. And yes, Councillor Mackie, I imagine your phone would have been pretty busy, and Councillor Blackwell's. Item 12.25. The Country Passenger Transport Infrastructure Grants Scheme. A report is there, councillors, and the recommendation is that we receive and note the report, and B, adopt the project priority in Table 1 for the application for the Country Passenger Transport Infrastructure Grants Scheme. Mover, a seconder. Beside Councillor Davis, seconded Councillor Blackwell. Thank you. Anyone like to speak to this item? If not, it's in the air. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Noting that everything's drawn up and ready to sign off because it closes on the 31st of August. Item 12.26 is the Gus Smith Oval Lighting, and the report has been put there, councillors, for us all, and the recommendation is to receive and note the report and adopt the proposed light pole locations. Moved, Councillor Foreman. Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Dodd. Thank you. Would you like to speak to the matter? Councillor Foreman?
I will say that, as we know, our sporting fields need a very close look at all across the Hilltops, and this is the fact that they've managed to get some funding for some lighting that will help free up maybe some oval space and stop games clashing and things. It's a good move.
Yep.
Very pleased for them.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great news. Councillor Flannery. No, we've lost Councillor Flannery. You're on mute.
Mr. Mayor, a question. Is there no need for a light on the, I'm just trying to see if there's an arrow to indicate, well, the right-hand side of the diagram, I'll call it, because I can't see which is north, south, east and west. Or is there no ability, or is the cost issue getting electricity across there, but the curved side of the running track, I'll call it, opposite the midpoint?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the layout that's proposed there is to meet the objectives of the grant and of the soccer club as far as possible. However, to cover all sports across the whole field would cost more than is available under the grant. Should we be able to attain further funding in future, we can add to the lighting layout there to provide better coverage. But this is the best layout that we can achieve with that amount of funding.
Do we know how many, if you had the appropriate amount of funding, how many more would only one more light tower be required, two more, and what the additional cost might be?
I believe it would be another 2 light posts, and the additional cost would be proportionate to that compared to the total number currently proposed.
Can I request, move an amendment for Part C to be adopted? So we receive a note, propose the light tower locations, because I imagine we've got to accept this, or has the grant been secured? And I just think we should get a report that details if we had the ideal amount. I don't see the point in getting contractors in and then coming back and it'll cost us $100,000 to put 2 more light towers in. If we could find the budget if it's going to cost us 50,000 now. I mean, it seems, compared to what was done at Harden, and I know I'm talking rather than moving, but the Harden Roberts Park towers, I would have thought cost more than this, and that was about 4 years ago. I would have thought we could get another 2 light towers for $40,000 or less, and we could find the money, even if it came out of some other projects.
I guess the question there is, because of the grant funding, do we need to have this signed off on now? Or can we sign off on this and then have a report come? If we sign on this and they start the work before we get a report back on an extra 2 poles, we've missed the whole boat. But we need to sign this off now because of Mr. Director?
That would be my recommendation in order to proceed under that grant program.
Well, it appears, and Councillor Flannery, your comments are valid and can be looked into. But I think to move it forward at this stage, we need to move on.
Can I just move an amendment? The report come back to September meeting on the cost of an additional 2 light towers to complete the job.
Let's get that down.
Noting that we now have an amendment to the Community Infrastructure Grant Program, and I'm nearly inclined to defer the vote on the barbecues, to be honest.
So who was my mover? Councillor Davis, was it? No, sorry, it was Councillor Foreman. Sorry, Foreman. That's right. Yeah.
Just a question then to the director. So does this 197,000 cover everything, like the installation? So there's no out-of-pocket expense to council?
Yes, that's right. That's the total cost.
Okay, total cost is that. Okay, all right.
So, Councillor, it's in your court
have you
now
got any idea on how much 2 more light towers would cost, ballpark figure?
Ballpark, based on the cost of the total project, it's 60 to 100,000. But
okay, I'll accept the additional point C.
You accept the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, so the amendment is now part of the resolution. And I, for my part, have no problem with it as long as we're not going to interfere with timelines with that current grant that's there. So could I get some advice on that, please?
yes, of course, we will make sure that we meet the grant timeline, at least for the lights proposed, and we'll provide a report to the September meeting on.
I don't think it works that way. If this resolution is passed with that amendment in it, we don't go forward until we have a report and find out about the other poles. It's my understanding of it as it reads now. So we need to make sure tonight, before we vote on this, if we are going to go outside the timelines for this 197 grant, or are we free with time to defer it for a month to get a further report on the cost of 2 more and then look at it again? But I don't want to come back in September and say, guess what, we missed 197,000. So that's my question to the Director or General Manager. Who wants to answer?
So through Mr. Mayor, the question is, we have secured $197,000 for the lights that are proposed. The proposal, as I understand from Councillor Flannery, is given set-up time, etc., to be there. Would it be more economic to then add 2 additional lights to that? So instead of it being 60 to 100, maybe 40, we don't know that figure. The question we proposed is for the councillors to decide, can council defer the decision on the location of the lights in toto to next month and decide, can we afford to add 2 additional lights? Or are we asking, as the recommendation from you, understanding the grant, we need to ask the councillors to consider adopting the 197. However, a further report won't impinge upon that. We can build those lights, but we could extend the additional lights. Are we asking because we're constrained for 197 tonight, or can we defer the whole decision to next month?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my apologies. I misunderstood the way that the proposed resolution was being drafted. My understanding was that it would be to adopt the current proposed layout and investigate further lighting. My recommendation to council would be that that's the approach we take, or that you take. That would allow us to commence work on that layout and vary the contract with the successful tenderer at such time as we obtain additional funding for the extra lights.
Anybody else, but I'm more confused now. So that my question is pretty simple. Is there a time constraint when we will lose the $197,000?
Yes,
Thank you. When is that time constraint?
I'm not aware of the closing date for that grant.
Well, that's not really making things any easier, councillors, I don't believe.
All right. Well, as the mover, I'm happy to not adopt C in the just in case it jeopardises the whole project.
I'm sorry, Count, didn't you just accept that a minute ago and it went in there?
Well, I think no one voted on it though.
It became part of the resolution as soon as you said it, you accepted it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to vote
But
on that.
we can vote her in.
Okay.
But so just to make, before we go any too much further with anyone, and Councillor Flannery's got his hand up, is everybody sort of understanding what we're looking at? We all want to see the best job done for the least amount of money that we can spend, but we don't want to put at risk $197,000. So that's the question at the moment. I'll go back to Councillor Flannery.
Mr. Mayor, so I think when you do a job, you do it properly. It'll be hard to get another crack at this for 2 more light towers. So I think we go ahead with the proposal so the part C would be, we've accepted this as the base case, but part C is come back with where 2 more light towers would go, which I assume will just be the corner in the middle of the other side of the field. So that'll be pretty basic. And there'll be an estimated cost of 80 to 100. I mean, if you divide 200 by 5, as we've got now, it's pretty much 40 grand a light tower. That said, there's a fair bit of work going in trenching and the supply of cabling. So I'd reckon it's actually closer to 150 a light tower, and then 30 to 50 in sort of, base cost trenching and whatnot. So you're probably actually looking at 30 grand each for another 2 light towers, so 60 grand, guessing obviously. I'm going to move on the next one that we defer.
One at a time, councillor. One at a time. One at a time,
defer,
councillor.
I know that, but I'm going to defer.
Righto.
Don't
Don't confuse the matter, please.
Well, that's where I'm going to get the funding from for part of it.
Yep. Okay. Anyone else like to comment on what's in front of us? I'm going to put that resolution that says receive and note the report. Otherwise, Councillor Langford.
Where it says there is insufficient funding to install all the light poles in attachment 1. What's that mean? Does that
Attachment
mean
1 is the
plan, which has got 5 light towers?
It's got 5. It's
So there is-
insufficient to put 7.
So there's not enough funding for.
We've got enough funding for those 5.
Why does it say it's insufficient funding? There is insufficient funding to install all the light poles in attachment 1. So if you look at attachment 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we haven't got enough money for that 5. Council will investigate other funding options to complete the remaining light poles after the Young Lions Soccer Club grant has concluded.
Good pickup.
So how many poles do we get? Or don't we know? We obviously don't know.
Through to the director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the number of lights that we would get is 5. That is a typographical error in the report. I don't have the actual grant offer for that particular project on me. However, referring to the guidelines for that grant program, all projects need to be completed by December 2028. So there is enough time for us to bring another report to council.
Okay, well, that nearly reads in with the recommendation as it stands now with the 3 dot points. Adopt the proposed lighting pole that's there and receive a report in September on the costings and placement of 2 additional light towers. So that sounds like could just fit in with everyone now, just given what the director just said. So, okay, everyone seems happy enough. I'll put that with the resolution. All councillors in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to item 1227, the replacement of public barbecues across the Hilltops region. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved, Councillor Flannery.
I'll move that we defer it, subject to the report on the light towers.
We'll, can I get a mover and a seconder for what's in front of us first, the replacement of public barbecues across the Hilltops region? Councillor Flannery moved it. Do I get a seconder? Councillor Foreman, thank you. Councillor Flannery.
I'll move a deferral, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Flannery's moving a deferral. Any particular reason for motion to defer, councillor?
Look, it came out, the money came out of another funding source in the first place, and whilst it has a lot of merit, I think we can wait a month until we see what the situation is with the light towers, and there's probably some other rejigs we can do in the budget one way or another. I think these barbecues haven't been working for a long time, so I'm not saying that aren't needed. I just think we could hasten steadily on getting things done properly.
From what I'm hearing, and I hate to get into Councillor Flannery's mind, Bank, but that you're talking about prioritising some funding from one place to another, by the sound of it, and I haven't got a lot of problems with that neither. But would anyone else like to speak in regards to the matter of deferral? Councillor Dodd.
I'd like to foreshadow a motion, please.
Councillor Dodd's foreshadowed a motion.
That the original motion.
Yep. Thank you. So, Councillor Flannery moved for a deferral. Did I have a seconder? I'll second for debate. Back to you, Councillor Flannery. Any further comments in regard to the matter?
Oh, look, just as I stated, Mr Mayor, I do think, you know, do a project and do it properly, and clearly a lot of users use Gus Smith, and I would think, you know, without the numbers in front of me, more than the few barbecues we're missing. So I would like to see that done well, and it provides more sporting tourism with nighttime sport.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have anyone speak against the deferral?
I will. I just personally think spring is next month. We have so many, the Cherry Festival and all the festivals, the Kite Festival, the Boorowa Festival, all the festivals are coming up, and I would hate to think that something would happen with the barbecues. They've been identified as possibly dangerous. They're outdated, and I believe that they do need replacing probably sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else want to speak for the motion to defer? I'm torn between what I'd like to see. You can't have everything. The barbecues are important, and I've stated that if they're not working, they're either renewed or they're taken out completely, because there's nothing worse than community thinking there's a barbecue there, but it's there, but it doesn't work. But also I can see the forward thinking in regard to the lighting at Gus Smith Oval and having that job completed and done, rather than have someone come back, because this has been pointed out, costs would be double to get someone back to do it. So I'm a bit torn between those matters, but I'd be happy enough to defer with the barbecues, only for a very, very good reason, and that reason is that maybe a more complete and thorough job could be done on the lighting on the oval. Anyone else would like to speak against the deferral? Councillor Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I think I agree with Councillor Foreman. I think the barbecues are an important community need. I think they are or can be very used. The barbecue funding is spread across more than just one town. Boorowa's in there as well. So I think I think if Councillor Flannery's motion to defer does go ahead and we do take away the barbecue funding, then there is no barbecue funding. I think right now we have funding for this barbecues and it's on the agenda. I think if we wanted to find funding for the light towers, I think we can and probably should, but I don't think that funding for the light tower should come at the expense of the community barbecues.
Thank you, councillor. Who was against? Anyone to speak for? No.
One question of the director, Mr.
Right
Mayor.
reply, councillor.
Yes, thank you. Question of the director. What's the time frame for installation of these barbecues? Do we have to go to tender? Can we be advised of when they're likely to be installed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't have to go to tender. However, we do need to go through a formal request for quotation process under our procurement policy. And however, they are relatively quick to be installed. I wouldn't want to commit to the end of the calendar year, but it would be thereabouts.
And we had one councillor stating that they want to see them in place by for the spring. So we're not looking at this spring, maybe next spring.
No, I don't think we'd be able to do it quite in time for the start of spring, but a few months, yeah.
So deferring it for a month isn't going to have any impact on the barbecues.
It's a comment. Obviously, no one's going to answer the question, so okay. Would anyone else like to speak on the matter either way? If not, we've had a couple of speakers for and against. So I'll put the resolution that's in front of us is to defer the item to the September meeting. All those in favour of that, please raise your hand. Those against? That motion to defer is lost. The foreshadow motion comes into place, which is the original motion that's there in front of us, councillors. All those in favour? Maybe I might take a step back. The foreshadowed motion's been put. Can I have a seconder for the foreshadowed motion? Thank you, Councillor Blackwell. All those in favour? We'll make it unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 12.28, Capital Works footpaths, and the recommendation is receive and note and adopt the proposed footpath projects listed in Table 1. But, very fortunately, just before our meeting, I was informed by a very reliable source and asked if we realised there was a gas pipeline where the proposed new path on Bynalong Street is proposed to be put. And it's probably not a great idea if something happened and be torn up all the time. And as luck would have it, I ran into the director of infrastructure as I was coming into the meeting and mentioned it to him because I didn't want to bring it straight out in the room to him and give him time to find out if we knew that or what his thoughts would be about moving the footpath to the other side of the street. So I think before I get a mover and seconder, I would ask the director his thoughts in regard to that. I don't want to defer the matter, but can it be dealt with in-house that you will do it on the other side of the road and not where it's shown on that picture?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we hadn't yet identified all the utilities in the area of those footpaths. It's not unusual for us to come across gas mains or other infrastructure in these types of projects. And in the very early stages of preparing for the footpath installation, we would locate all of those utilities. And if that means that we place the footpath not precisely where it's shown on that map, but somewhere else within the same corridor, that's what we'll do to achieve the intent of the project.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And my only comment in regard to that is that may probably the horse in the cart should have been looked at before it came where it was, but appreciate that. So council is fully understanding that council staff are aware of that gas pipeline and they will work to make sure that it doesn't interfere with anything. I'm happy to leave it, the recommendation as it is. So do I have a mover?
Mr. Mayor, could I move it with an amendment, please?
Councillor Dodd Beachy, you can second it with and put your amendment up.
I'll second with an amendment.
Right, okay. So Councillor Flannery has an amendment.
So my amendment would be that Part B become adopt the proposed budget for 25-26 and staff bring back to us a revised program for the following 2 years based on a more efficient delivery program.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the 25-26 budget is the adopted budget that's already been adopted. It's the proposed projects that are under question. So are you requesting that a report be brought back in relation to different parts? The budget's
well,
already been adopted.
To answer that, I mean, as we know, it's been adopted, but there's a huge discrepancy between some of the towns, and I'm not questioning the need for the work, but I look at stage 1, 2 and 3 for Harden in particular, and are we going to see 10 people stand around, road teams closed to do those over 3 different years, when if this got done in one go, you would have a far more cost-efficient delivery program. So yes, I want to see a more efficient delivery program for that. I'll pull my hair out if I've got to drive into Harden and see those roads closed in 3 successive years with 10 people standing around doing it. I haven't got much left.
Okay, so Councillor Flannery has asked for an amendment to be put in there. Councillor Dodd was the original mover. Do you accept the amendment, Councillor Dodd?
So the part that says adopt the proposed budget, we can take that bit out, can we? Because that.
Well, not unless the mover of the amendment wants to do that. You either take it as is there or you reject it.
I reject it.
So.
I'm not against a.
Well, now that we discuss the amendment that was put by Councillor Flannery. We don't go near the original recommendation. We are now discussing the amendment. Councillor Flannery put an amendment up. Do we get a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Davis. Now we've got a debate. Councillor Flannery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, look, in similar vein of the Gus Smith Oval lights, I just, establishment costs for any crew, whether it's council staff or contractors, to get on site and do these work is huge these days. I mean, I think our signage crews are, well, I've lost track of how much, but we are spending huge amounts on stop-go people. I imagine we'll need stop-go people for a lot of this work. We may not, but in any event, to do stage 1, 2 and 3, particularly at Harden, over 3 years, I just think is madness when we could put it to tender and have it done in a job lot. And if that means deferring stage 1 to next year and bringing funding for stage 3 forward, it's been like that for 30 years in that particular area. I think it would give us, so I guess, well, not I guess, I mean, the Councillor Dodd said it would mean changing the budget. Well, budget's not mentioned in the proposal, but ultimately, yes, it would mean changing the budget. And when it comes back to another meeting, which I would hope would be September, council staff would have looked at how a more efficient delivery program could be achieved, and that may mean changing the budget. But I just think we've got to get some efficiency gains out of our works program. That's what I'm asking for.
Thank you, Councillor, and I'd like to foreshadow a motion. If this amendment was to fail, and that will be the original motion. Anyone else, anyone like to speak against the amendment that's there? Anyone like to speak for it?
I just have a question.
Question, Councillor Douglas.
So, Councillor Flannery, just to be clear, you'd like to see the projects done in one stage instead of broken up over 3. Is that correct?
Yep.
Well, I'm young. They're significant projects in their own right and significant stretches, so I don't really have a problem there, although I do think perhaps some of the funding should be allocated elsewhere, but be that as it may, council's adopted that and we can revise the budgets. When I look at Harden, I would rather see that money move back a year and do 2 stages, if not 3. If we can't afford to bring 20,000 forward, defer 80 back and get a more efficient delivery program, we've got problems. And when I look at Bura again, $5,000 each year, well, it doesn't achieve much anyway. So we might as well do it 1 year.
Thank you, Councillor. I'd like to make a comment in regard to the talk around the allocation of funds there. The total funding in round figures, $203,000 or $205,000. If you work at about 60% of it, that's the $120,000 that's allocated there to the former Young area. And the Bura area only getting 5,000. Well, if you work it out in the percentage basis, the remaining funds that they may have got have actually gone to Harden, Councillor Flannery. So I'd say Councillor Harden's done pretty well out of this when you work out the size of the revenue base where it's coming from. But that being apart, I had a question. I asked anyone to speak for or against.
I have a question.
Question, Councillor Dodd.
To the director, does it make much difference to costs if the footpath is done in different sections? Do they have things like road stop crews, or is it actually just, it makes no difference whether it's done in 3 separate lots or done as one strip?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it does make a difference. Councillor Flannery is right. You do have establishment costs when a team is deployed to a certain area. However, I couldn't say off the top of my head what percentage of the costs that would be in this case.
Thank you.
Can
Councillor
I just,
Langford.
yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, just a comment, a couple of comments. Opposite my place, in Berthong Street, from Campbell Street to Thornhill Street, was recently a new footpath was constructed by a contractor, which was the contractor, I think, from Burrawa. They did a fantastic job. There was no disruption to traffic at all in the job. It didn't matter if it was raining or not, they were there and they were doing the job. I think they knocked it over in a couple of weeks without any trouble at all. So don't see that as being a problem. Just a question on the dollars and cents. Is that figure, does that include the residents' contribution to a footpath, or doesn't that apply anymore?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is the total budget for those projects, including a contribution from the neighbouring property owners where that applies.
Right. Okay. All right. And what is that contribution? Is it a percentage of it? Is it 50% of the cost, or?
Yes, it's 50%.
50% of the cost. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions in regard to the matter? Councillor
Sorry, just
Foreman.
one more question.
Yep,
My
yep.
apologies to the director. So have we staged this over the 3 years due to the budgeting of the funds over the 3 years? Is that the reason why it's been staged like that?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Okay, so the debate's over. Councillor Flannery, I'll give you right a reply if you like.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I would encourage council to support it, and I probably should have amended it to say that we defer Harden's expenditure until next year and look to do the project as a job lot. But that would be my intention, that we push 78,000 allocated for this year back in the next year and look at bringing the other year's funding forward and get it done as a job lot so we can get some efficiency. But that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Councillor, and it's understood. It's just not the way it read when it came up. So I'm now going to call for a show of hands to accept the amendment that was put by Councillor Flannery. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Next item is 1229. The amendment was carried 5-4. Redo your budgets. I just hope. that
Sorry,
Mr.
the
Bill won't
amendment
talk
was
to it.
the amendment was carried, but was the full item voted on?
The amendment that came into it.
Yeah, we voted. We voted on the actual full item.
Put it back up.
No, but his amendment was to change.
The amendment changes everything. The amendment changes everything. Became the resolution. It's been voted on. It's been accepted. I just sincerely, I'm not going to talk about it because we've voted on the matter, so we've got to move on. Item 1229, Capital Works Report. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Douglas, and Councillor Mackie. Thank you. Any questions in regard to the Capital Works Report? Councillor Flannery.
A number of questions, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Borough Street, Kurawatha, we've had a road reseal of 43,000, and then in the next page over, we've got Borough Street, Kurawatha gravel resheeting of 1 kilometre. Is the gravel resheeting to be? Well, I did a rough measurement, 1.4 kilometres of gravel road in Borough Street, so we're covering 80% of it, not 100% or 70%. Is that correct? Should we allocate money from one to the other? We're covering about 40% of the road reseal. The Director would please advise again whether one lot of funding, are the areas covering the worst bits, or is it budgetary? Should we allocate funds from one to the other and do it properly?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. Yes, those reseal and resheeting budgets are targeted at the worst sections of that particular road. There isn't enough in the roads budget to reseal or gravel resheet 100% of any roads. It's very rare that we would do that, and it is an approach that's used to manage the budget.
I realise that, but we're missing such an insignificant part of the gravel reseal of 400 metres compared to other roads where it might be 8 kilometres and we do 3. That would it be an issue if we allocated some of the reseal money to the gravel resheet, or should there be a priority the other way around? Just grade the gravel road this year and do a better job on the reseal. I just noticed we're going to have machinery out there for 2 different jobs, 2 different lots of machinery.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. We can look at that. Obviously, we need to manage the budget within the overall program, being either the young sealed or young unsealed road budgets. However, that's how it works. So we couldn't move money from the sealed section of the road to the unsealed section of the road, but there may be a way that we can resheet more of that road and do less of another road in the area. However, that's noting that means that we'll be providing a lesser service to the other road.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I noticed. I note that. If you could bring back information or send out an email just confirming the state of the roads and what else could be achieved. Choose Lane has a significant amount of money allocated to it, as does Maringo Gap Road. I think there's $1 million to Maringo Gap Road. Choose Lane, we have 500,000. We put an application in for a B-double route, I think, for these 2 roads a couple of years ago, which I gather failed. And then we also had an application of our own money dependent on the B-double application. Is this expenditure aimed at ultimately having a B-double or an alternate route through Maringo to Borua?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no. this expenditure is targeted at maintaining the road network. There's not enough in this capital budget for significant upgrades of any roads to support restricted access vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Neil Street Harden has an allocation of 24,000. Is that, which part of Neil Street is that?
I don't have that on me, but I'm happy to take it on notice and bring it back to you.
Okay, yes, please. Gaylong Road, Clangan Road intersection is an allocation of 13,000, which I think won't go far toward, well, I'm not even, given I drive past that a fair bit, I'm not even sure what's wrong with it. Can we be advised what is wrong with it and where else the money could be better spent?
Yes, I can provide that information on notice.
That'd be great, please. Linden Road has two different allocations, heavy patching and heavy patching, just from two different funding sources. Which part of Linden Road is that aimed at?
Again, I'll have to confirm the specifics of that. However, noting while they do come from different funding sources, ideally they will be, the work will happen together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this matter? I've got a question or comment, maybe. Looking at my pet gravel reshooting, and there hasn't been a lot done in the current financial year, which is okay. We'll get it done eventually, but I just do notice that on what's been done on Kenya Road, it's 168% of budget. So there was overrun of budget. In the comments, it says completed, overspend covered by program. I'm taking that to mean that the overspend is, just like you said a moment ago, is coming from the same bunch of funding that's allocated to that area, not out of the general fund of gravel resheeting. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It'll come from the Burrawa unsealed road budget.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to, in the next month or so, looking to the numbers of a lot more gravel resheeting to be done. One of our major projects that we're here for. Any other questions in regard to that item?
Okay.
Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 12:30 is the operational works report. We know what to happen, team. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Douglas, thank you. Councillor Blackwell. Questions? Councillor Flannery.
With your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, the smart meter replacement tender, where's that up to?
The tenders are in the final stages of assessment by staff, and a report will be brought to the September council meeting for a decision.
Another question, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you missed that one. That was part of the last. That was part of the capital works. I got it past you.
Just a moment till I delete your button.
Scenic Road, through you, Mr.
You've
Mayor.
been trying to do this for 5 years. Got me. Councillor Flannery, if you have a relevant question to the relevant report that we're on, the floor is yours.
Scenic Road is listed as complete, and it was also listed on the last report, so it's relevant to this report. What is complete? And then it's also listed for June 26.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so the section of road identified for maintenance grading on Scenic Road for early this financial year is completed, and further maintenance grading will be undertaken in June of next year. However, if you require specifics of whereabouts that maintenance grading occurred, I don't have that on me, and I'm happy to provide that on notice.
Yes, please, if you could, Mr. Director. And then on the table on page 428, we have McMahon's Reef Road. It lists it as 33.1 kilometres, 5.7 kilometres length of grading. Scenic road likewise 38 kilometres, 19 kilometres. I think it would be relevant, given this is road maintenance grading. My understanding is there's not 33 kilometres of gravel road. That would be the total length of McMahon's Reef Road, and likewise for scenic road. Could we get the proportions? I would have thought there's only 8 to 10 kilometres of gravel road on McMahon's Reef Road. I have noted, and I have been asking the director that this be graded. It really needs gravel on it too, and I think it needs more drains put in it. Another heavy storm, which that area is prone to in summer, that McMahon's Reef area, and I think we're going to be back to where we started. We get details on what length have been done relative to the overall length of gravel road, and the same for scenic road, please.
Yes, good suggestion. Thank you. We'll do so.
Thank you. Any other questions in regard to that report? Not, I'll put it. All those in favour? Councillors. Lost a page. 12:31. Correspondence for information, media releases and Office of Local Government. Moved, Councillor Foreman. Did you see it? Thank you. I thought so. Seconded, Councillor Dodd. I'll move the recommendation. All those in favour? Thank you. 12:32 is the action summary report. Moved by Councillor Blackwell. Seconded, Councillor Foreman. Thank you. Any
Questions, Mr. Mayor?
Who was that? Oh, sorry, Councillor Flannery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, action summary reports, a number of items often come up, but we don't sometimes hear what the situation has. Have the fuel bowser replacements occurred at Harden, and where are we up to with the garbage truck compactor that we were having trouble replacing, in which we got a diabolical report on about 6 months ago?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the fuel systems are complete, and I'm afraid I'm not sure to what you're referring about the garbage compactor.
We were having trouble. It's been listed for replacement. We were having trouble. I'm not 100% sure it's a garbage truck or compactor, but one of them, well, maybe it was, it might have been a tar spraying truck. I'm completely wrong. One of the tar spraying trucks we couldn't replace for love or money. Yet had significant problems with it. Where is that up to?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we've been exploring that. We've recently identified an alternative supplier. As you might know, the suppliers for that type of equipment are quite limited, so it is difficult to identify who's going to provide the best value for money. However, we are still progressing that replacement.
Could we be just updated in the next council report what the situation is, please?
Yes.
A report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions in regard to that item, councillors? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Thank you. Takes me over to questions with notice. 13.1, and there's a question with notice from myself, and it came about a result of a meeting I attended with Director of Planning and some business people in regard to basically trying to demolish some of the old buildings and replace them with new, and the costs associated with disposing of what's been knocked down. And it was made clear that day that bricks, not such a big problem, that can be dealt with, but concrete is another matter. And because we haven't got one of these, where am I? Resource recovery facilities in our area, we've been taking it to landfill. There's a couple of things wrong with that. We're going to run out of landfill, and it costs an absolute fortune. There's these resource recovery facilities are in other shires. Some take up, I'm told, 10 or 12 acres. There's one in Bathurst that's been there for a long, long time. It's only about 3 or 4 acres. It's smaller and been built around. But so I just tasked staff with bringing a report back to us that just what would we need, as I've said, the size of the land, location, the equipment that would be needed to operate such a facility, and the EPA requirements, which get stronger every day. And the response is there that council will bring a report back to us to the October meeting. So I look forward to that. Councillors, it's something that probably should have been given some thought 5, 10 years ago, more maybe. We're all aware of some big buildings in the Young Township anyway that wants to prove for demolition, but no one wants to do any demolition here because the sheer cost of getting rid of what they're knocking down, and so going to landfill, which is no good. So I'll leave that in staff's hand. Thank you for coming back and saying ahead for October, and this is not going to happen overnight, depending on the requirements and what the restrictions and what the needs are around one of these facilities. But if we don't start somewhere looking into the future, we're never going to achieve anything. So I look forward to that report coming back in October. So thank you.
Mr Mayor, can I second the recommendation and also ask a question? Noting the issues here, and also I think we have to have motions in by September for the local government conference. I think there needs to be a bit, along with the firewood issue, there needs to be a bit more of a liberal view taken on what needs to go to landfill, what can reasonably be reclaimed, because this arose because the owners of a building also have a rural property. They would like to actually relocate some of the material to their rural property, but that's just straight out prohibited under the EPNA Act. There just needs to be greater discretion for rural councils and officers to decide. So I think I might try and come up with an appropriately worded motion for to take to local government.
Thank you, councillor. And if they're still open, I'd be happy to take that for you. Take into consideration the thought patterns of the metropolitan councils that I will be facing. But yeah, I'm only too happy to put it forward for you.
So through you, Mr Mayor, can we then add to that council A, receive and note the report, staff will provide a report, and C, Councillor Flannery provide the wording for the intent of what would be the word?
Yes, happy to do
Would you
that.
like to put that amendment in, councillor? As
Yep,
opposed to the general manager? Thank you. I moved the matter, so I'll accept that, and yeah, we'll see how we go. So thank you, councillors. All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you. We move on to item 14, notice of motion, and we've got a notice of motion from councillor Blackwell.
Mr Mayor, at this time I'd like to withdraw the motion.
Thank you. Next item, I would ask for someone to move and second that we move into confidential. Move councillor Douglas, seconded councillor Mackie. All those in favour? Thank you. So, off go the cameras. Out goes our audience. Thank you. There we go. All right, we open. We back.
Well,
All those in favour? So moving back into open. Thank you. Okay, we turn things on, and I'll hand it over to the general manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Whilst in confidential, council result of 15.4-25/226 Hilltops Access Committee. The recommendation, council resolved to receive and note the report and to accept the nominations to the Hilltops Access Committee from Ms. Catherine Hill, Ms. Rosa Stewart, Ms. Sonia Innes, and Mr. Nathan Stapleton. Council also resolved at report 15.3-25/267 request for quote 72 supply and disposal of one class 15 motor grader. Council resolved to note and endorse the purchase of the motor grader and to trade the motor grader. B, accept the tender of the successful tenderer for the supply and delivery of the Caterpillar 140 motor grader. C, to sell the grader being replaced through an auction house, and D, delegate to the General Manager the authority to execute all necessary documentation associated with the tender and the auction. At report 15.4-25/268, request for tender 73, supply and disposal of one gravel truck. Council resolved to note and endorse the purchase and trade value of the truck. B, accept the tender for the successful tenderer for the supply and delivery of one Mack Anthem gravel truck. C, accept the tender for the trade of the existing gravel truck. D, delegate to the General Manager the authority to execute all necessary documentation associated with accepting those tenders. And finally, at report 15.5-25/269, award of contract RFT 39, supply and delivery of quarry materials panel. Council resolved to receive and note the request for tender, and B, award the contract panel to the successful tenderers, delegate the General Manager to execute all necessary documentation, and delegate authority to the General Manager to execute the optional contract extension periods. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Thank you, councillors. And I declare our meeting closed at 6:13 tonight. So thank you all. Travel safe. Thank you.